Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, in spite of being a weekend, you have all joined this meeting for a great cause. It's a great thing. I'll express my sincere gratitude from Rotary Shantiniketan for holding this webinar. So, warm welcome to you all. So, coming to blood donation mission reality. This year, this slogan for World Blood Donor Day was "Give blood and keep the world beating." This was June 14th this year. This was the theme.
We can hear you, Doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor, do you want to turn your video on?
Yeah.
Do you think the network? Yeah, great. Thank you. Did you need any assistance, Doctor?
Yeah, actually the slide is not moving.
Okay. You might want to just stop sharing and share again.
Yeah. Can you see the screen, madam? No?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. So why blood donation is important for us is.
Doctor, do you want to go on a slideshow mode, please?
Yeah.
The next button, the third button from there, down. Next one. The next button on your right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Sorry for the interruption. Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. Why blood donation is important is because there is no alternative for blood. Everybody knows we can't prepare blood artificially. Though many clinical trials are going on, we have not gone any breakthrough. There is no success of preparing artificial blood. So human blood should be replaced by only human blood. So this human blood, we are mostly dependent upon the voluntary blood donors all over the world. So coming to blood, blood is a wonderful fluid and it's an excellent fluid in our body, which keeps our, yeah.
ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಡೊನೇಷನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಯೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ರೋಟರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ.
Yeah, blood is a wonderful fluid. It keeps us warm. It provides nutrients for cells, tissues, and organs, and it also helps to remove waste products from various sites. So there are different type of donors. So voluntary blood donor. A voluntary blood donor is a donor who doesn't expect any remuneration or any benefit from the blood banks or any hospital. He is a voluntary donor, purely coming out voluntarily to donate blood. And replacement blood donors, those are the donors who come during emergencies when especially as negative blood groups like O negative, all negative groups, we may not have blood group. That time they'll be replacing this with a particular group. And directed blood donors are those who ask particular donor to be donated to particular patients. And there are professional donors who are donating for remunerations which are banned in India. We should not encourage these professional donors. So these are the different types of blood donors. So why only our Government of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, National Blood Transfusion Council and Karnataka State Blood Transfusion Council promotes voluntary blood donor, and it should be 100% voluntary blood donors in all blood transfusion all over India. So coming to criteria for blood donation, all people aged between 18 years to 65 years can donate blood. Up to 60 years, repeat with single time donors can donate. Above 60 years, the donors who have donated earlier can donate above 60 to 65. So first time donor from 60 to 65 cannot donate. So the weight criteria is 45 kgs and above. And from 45 to 55, we'll collect around 350 ml of blood. And above 55 kgs, we'll collect 450 ml of blood. So our body contains about 5 to 6 liters of blood. So So among 5 to 6 liters of blood, we will take only below 10%. Our national guidelines and criteria is we have to collect the volume of blood should be less than 10%, and it is more than 10%. It will be around 7 to 8%. So it is 350 ml above 45 kgs, and it will be 450 ml above 55 kgs. The hemoglobin requirement should be 12.5 gram per deciliter. Normally, the female's hemoglobin level is 12 to 14. So they should be around 12.5 and above for blood donation. The normal hemoglobin for males will be from 13 to 18. So mostly all males will qualify for blood donor except for the temporary or permanent different criteria. Among the females in Indian setup, there are a lot of Indian women who are anemic, even though their HB is normal, because normal hemoglobin is 12 to 14, but their hemoglobin should be more than 12.5 for blood donation. Again, temperature should be the normal. They should not have any fever recently, and the pulse should be 60 to 90 per minute, and their blood pressure should be 100 to 140 systolic and 60 to 90 diastolic. Even hypertensives can donate blood if they are on single drug regimen. If they are taking single drug for hypertension and well controlled, even hypertensives can donate blood, and it is beneficial to these hypertensive patients. In fact, the blood pressures will come down after donating blood. Coming to this is the repeat voluntary blood donors. These are the main set of donors which we are looking for blood transfusion services, because these are the donors who are backbone for blood transfusion services. These repeat voluntary donors are well motivated, they are well committed, and they are well informed. They understand the importance of blood, and they have experience in giving blood regularly. So all males can give blood every 3 months, and all females can give blood in every 4 months interval. And these are the repeat voluntary donors. They are willing to come to blood centers to donate blood and give in emergencies. These repeat voluntary blood donors are the basic source of safe blood, and this is a very valuable service from the voluntary donors to blood transfusion services. So coming to the different criteria, the people who cannot donate blood, those are the people with a history of cancer, history of heart disease. Heart disease, like if they have myocardial infarction, they have undergone coronary artery bypass graft, any the pacemaker changes, like that, any heart involved disease, they can donate blood. Any abnormal bleeding tendencies, history of liver disease and hepatitis, any history of leprosy, any history of fits like convulsions, mental disorders, or epilepsy, history of schizophrenia, history of chronic kidney diseases. Then and people on diabetes, again I want to stress here, the people on diabetes or on insulin cannot donate blood. Those people who are on taking tablets and who have not changed the medication in last 1 month. I repeat, the people who are on the medication for oral medication for diabetes can donate blood, who have not changed the medication in last 1 month. And any history of unexplained weight loss, signs and symptoms suggestive of AIDS. This could be weight loss, significant weight loss, persistent fever, persistent diarrhea for last 3 to 6 months. Those are the people with symptoms of AIDS. History of polycythemia. This is a polycythemia is a condition where the hemoglobin will be more than 18.5. So normal hemoglobin for males will be 13 to 18. Polycythemia is a condition wherein the hemoglobin will be more than 18.5. There are people who have hemoglobin like 19, 20, 21. These are people who are living in high altitude, history of smoking, asthma, like that conditions, they have polycythemia. Again, it could be primary and secondary polycythemia. Again, we will decide. So this is one of the permanent different criteria. And we can't use this blood, which is more than 18.5. This is because the blood is very thick and we can't transfuse this to the patient. And other endocrine disorders. Endocrine disorders are like thyroid disorders. But thyroid disorders, we will take blood donors. For example, if they are suffering from any hypothyroidism and they are taking Thyronorm, for example, up to 100 microgram is allowed. And if they don't have any recent symptoms like increased weight gain or increased weight loss, symptoms suggestive of palpitations, like that, there are symptoms related to thyroid. So we'll ask the history, and people on Thyronorm up to 100 microgram, they can donate blood. And people with history of asthma and severe allergic disorders. people with history of asthma who are taking oral steroids cannot donate blood, but those who are taking on inhalers and once in a while, definitely they can donate blood. And the people, those are history of autoimmune disorders or hemolytic anemia. Autoimmune disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, systemic lupus erythematosus, psoriasis, like that, there are some conditions, those people cannot donate blood. So there are various temporary different criteria. Most of the criteria fall into this one. The patients have history of blood transfusion. If they themselves have undergone hospitalization and blood transfusion, they cannot donate blood for 1 year. And those people with history of surgery, that major surgery, we will differ for 1 year. Major surgeries could be like any history of bone grafting, bone like alignment, or any history of open heart surgery, open abdominal surgery, like that, any major surgeries. And minor surgeries, it could be like any cyst excision or any minor lipoma, fat, small incisions they could have made, and that could be minor surgeries. And history of people with typhoid, this typhoid enteric fever, they say, those are deferred for 1 year. And people with history of malaria, it is 3 months for endemic area and 3 years for non-endemic area. Our India falls into this endemic area, so it will be 3 months. And history of tattooing, it is deferred for 1 year, because in history tattoo, what will happen? These people will use needles, which could be unsterilized or shared needles. So there is a risk of transmission of transmitted infections. So we will defer this for 1 year. And people with history of breastfeeding are deferred till they stop breastfeeding or up to 1 year. And people with history of immunization, there are again 2 types of immunization: active immunization and passive immunization. And active immunization is deferred up to 4 weeks, and passive immunization up to 2 weeks. Then history of COVID-19 vaccine, irrespective of the type of vaccine, it could be Covaxin, Covishield, or Sputnik, whatever it is deferred for 2 weeks, that is 14 days. And in between, if there is a gap after 14 days, definitely they can donate blood. And history of dog bite, and if they are vaccinated for rabies, then it is deferred for 1 year. And history of any dengue, chikungunya, they have done any treatment for dental caries, root canal treatment, they are deferred for up to 6 months. So there are different criteria, temporary. There are various other different criteria, but there is exhaustive list, but it will be in the form, donor form. They can very well read it, and they can ask the doctor who is in the campsite, or they can call me also. So these are the temporal different criteria. So before donation, any donor should have a good sleep up to 6 to 8 hours, and they have, in the last 4 hours they had to have they have to have meals, either breakfast or lunch, and have 2 to 3 glasses of water before donating, so that there will be good volume, and they should be as calm as possible. Then after donation, we have to take more fluid than usual in the next 24 hours, at least 3 to 4 liters of fluids, because we have to replace the volume which is lost, 350 or 450, and this volume will be replaced within 24 hours. All the nutrients will be replaced within 1 week. So there is no need to worry. After blood donation, the myth is they may become weak, they can become tired, like that. There is nothing like that. After blood donation, they can do their work as usual. Just they have to relax after donation for about half an hour, and they can do normal work as usual. But the only thing, they should not lift any heavy weight and stand in the sunlight. So they should not remain hungry for after the donation day. They should not smoke for 1 hour after donation, because this nicotine in the cigarette may cause some giddiness, which will be confused to this donation, this thing. And we have to avoid alcohol as far as possible up to 24 hours after blood donation. And they have to do not stand in the sunlight for up to 1 day on the donation day. And do not do any heavy exercise or weightlifting. Some people have interested to go to gym daily without missing. So, but particular that donation day, they have to miss it. So for the patients, again, the donor blood will be divided into various blood components. Actually, the blood is divided into around 10 to 12 blood components, but very commonly divided will be 3 to 4 components. These are red cells, packed red blood cells, fresh frozen plasma, platelets, and cryoprecipitate. These packed red blood cells are the main component of the blood. They are stored at 2 to 6 degrees Celsius, and the shelf life will be 42 days. And they will be used to conditions like anemia, where is the blood loss, accident cases, and patients with the surgeries like that. Fresh frozen plasma, it is a plasma. It is called also they are called white blood in general. This fresh frozen plasma will be stored at -40 and -80 degrees Celsius, and this can be stored up to 1 year. So fresh frozen plasma will be used in conditions like liver disorders, where this clotting problems will be there, clotting factors. There they will use history of burns, history of snake bites, and severe infections in intensive care units. They use this fresh frozen plasma. And coming to platelets, there are two types of platelets. Again, random donor platelets. These random donor platelets are collected from the campsite. But whether a single donor platelets, these single donor platelets are collected at blood bank. These are a special procedure. I'll explain in the last. And cryoprecipitate, this is called an anti-hemophilic factor. So this is given in hemophilia condition. So these are the four components which are divided commonly. So every donor who donates blood will save 3 to 4 lives. That is the notion. This will go to different patients. So 3 different or 4 different patients. So this is the centrifuge. After collection of blood from the blood donation camp, this has to be shifted to the blood center. Within 6 hours, we will separate the blood. This is a refrigerated centrifuge. This centrifuge has temperature set at 2 to 6 degrees Celsius and 22 degrees Celsius, depending upon the component we make. Here, you can see this red cells will be in the settled down during centrifuge, and the middle one will be the white blood cells and platelets, and the topmost will be the plasma. So the 3-4 components will be separated like this, and will be shifted from the mother bag into the satellite bags. So we have a double bag, triple bag, quadruple bag, penta bags. So different types of bags we have, and there is an anticoagulant to prevent clotting in the blood bag. So this blood will be separated into different blood components, depending upon the requirement. So during platelets, we will use triple bag for platelets. If we don't require platelets, we will do only double bag. And if we require cryoprecipitate, we will be doing in quadruple bag. Like that, we will use different blood bags. So these are the fridges I have already told, where we store different components in different temperature for different lifespan. So platelet will be stored for 5 days, up to 5 days. Platelets, even single donor platelets as well as random donor platelets will be stored up to 5 days. Red cells, I have told, it will be stored up to the 42 days at 2 to 6 degrees Celsius. And plasma will be stored up to 1 year at -40 or -80 degrees Celsius. So we have various refrigerators for blood bank refrigerator, and these are continuously monitored. And these fridges are connected to our central monitoring system. Every half an hour, this recording will be going on. So every day we can check the temperature, any deviation is there. So to ensure the quality of blood, we will maintain the temperature which is connected to a central monitoring system. So the requirement of blood for patients will be 24/7. So throughout the day, there will be a requirement of blood. The blood requirement come at any time to blood bank. So our blood bank will be working, all blood centers will be working 24 hours, except for platelets, which will be a single donor platelets, which will be working during daytime. Otherwise, other blood bank will be open 24/7. So blood will be used mainly for disorders like genetic disorders, the various genetic disorders like thalassemia, hemophilia, and sickle cell anemia. For example, thalassemia. Thalassemia is a genetic disorder where there is a deficiency of hemoglobin protein, where there is hemoglobin will be dropping. There will be no formation of red cells properly, and it will not stand for a long time. These are from beginning, from the birth itself, these thalassemia patients are affected. These children needs blood transfusion every 2 to 3 weeks. So this we have around 100 thalassemia patients in our Rotary TTK blood bank. So that we are transfusing around 7 patients, for around 5 to 7 patients daily. So for thalassemia patients, we require at least 10 to 14 units daily. So these thalassemia patients' blood will be given free of cost. All these conditions what I have mentioned here, thalassemia, hemophilia, and sickle cell anemia, we will be giving this blood to these people. It is free of cost. As per government regulations, Government of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, all blood centers will be giving blood to these patients free of cost. Not even a single penny will be charged. And the blood is required for road traffic accident. Will be blood. There will be a huge blood loss. So such road traffic accident patients, when there is a huge blood loss, they will require various components like red cells, plasma. If there is more transfusion of red cells, even they require platelets, because if you give more blood, there will be dilution of blood and there will be loss of platelets. So even platelets should be given, plasma should be given, and red cells should be given. So these are the patients who require more number of units. And if it is negative groups, it will be really worrisome. And a lot of birthing mothers, especially in maternity hospitals, they require blood. Actually, in the urban area, at least mothers will maintain the hemoglobin because they will do regular ANC checkup, antenatal checkup. But especially in rural areas and towns, smaller towns, there are a lot of mothers who have hemoglobin where they are very anemic, like their hemoglobin will be 7 grams, 6 grams, 8 grams. So each mother may be requiring around 3 to 4 units of packed red blood cells. And usually in urban areas, during delivery, they will reserve the blood units and they not use this blood, but blood requirement is used in rural areas and smaller towns. And patients like oncology patients, these are oncology means it is cancer patients. The cancer patients require almost all components. Their hemoglobin will be dropped, their why this WBC count will be dropped, their platelets will be dropped. So they may require all components like packed red cells, fresh plasma, platelets. So these are the patients who require blood 24/7 and throughout the year. And elective and emergency surgeries. Elective surgeries could be like liver transplantation, heart transplantation. They are planning this surgery, and during this planning, they will ask particular units. They may require 10 units of red cells. They may require platelets for heart surgery like that. And of course, in emergencies, they require the blood. And there are a lot of patients with anemia. So these anemia patients, anemia could be due to various causes. Again, it could be due to blood loss anemia, nutritional anemia, or any destruction due to autoimmune causes. So there are various causes for anemic. So we have to find out the cause of anemia, but before finding out the cause, they have to stabilize the patient. So at least they may need to get transfused to increase the hemoglobin levels. So these are the patients who require blood very frequently. So what are coming to the donor, the benefits of blood donor? So it becomes a mini health checkup for blood donor. The blood donor who is reaching to the blood donation area, he will get checkup like his weight, his blood pressure, and his hemoglobin. These are minimum basic health checkup. They will get it done. And another 5 benefits which donors may not be knowing is they have a lot of benefits by donating blood. Like the blood, by replacing blood, the volume, cholesterol will come down, then the hypertension will come down. Means like if there is a history of hypertension, the blood pressure will drop. Then there are many studies like if the incidence of heart attack will also come down if they donate frequently. And there is one more very good benefit, that is the memory power will increase. Those who donate frequently. And fifth one is the old blood will be replaced by new blood. So for example, if you take a well, where if you remove water, fresh water will be coming. Like that similar thing, if you donate blood, again fresh blood will be replaced. You know the lifespan of red blood cells will be 120 days. So instead of wasting, we are giving this to patients who require. After 120 days, there will be a fresh regeneration in our bone marrow. Bone marrow will be in the center of the long bones. So that is better than giving blood to somebody than wasting. So another thing important is infective status. So as per National Blood Transfusion Council, 5 mandatory transfusion infection we are going to test. Those are HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, and VDRL. It is called as syphilis. It is a sexually transmitted disease, and malaria. These are the 5 mandatory tests which we are going to do for a blood donor. So this, if you are going to do outside, for example, if you pay and go get it done outside, it costs around 1,500 to 2,000. But we in blood bank will be doing in a bulk. So our cost will be cost effective for us. So you will also come to know the infective status of your blood. So there are many donors who are donating will have hepatitis B, but they will not be knowing it. They will not be knowing how they are acquired also. So it is a confidential issue. All blood donors will be counseled. We keep it confidential. We will inform them separately if any infection is found out, and we'll refer to particular department. For example, if they found an HIV, we'll refer to integrated counseling tester. There are government notified centers. We will refer to them there. They will do free testing, and they'll give antiretroviral therapy, and it will be free of cost. And second thing, if hepatitis B is there, we will refer to gastroenterologist so that they will do further test and follow and treatment. And hepatitis C also to gastroenterologist, and syphilis to a sexual STD clinic, and malaria to a physician. So we'll be referring any infection is there, we'll refer to particular departments, and this is confidential. So there are special procedures in blood donation, as earlier I was telling. Single donor platelets. These single donor platelets are procedure where we have to do in blood bank, blood center only. So the donor will come to blood bank. It will take around 2 to 3 hours, around 3 hours. So you have to fill up the form. The form filling up and checking their basic qualification. It will take around 10 to 15 minutes. Then we have to do TTA testing. I told you HIV, HPV, HCV. This will take around 1.5 hours. So at the procedure, it is a 1.5 hours. The procedure will be like this. The donor will lie down next to the apheresis machine. That is a platelet collecting machine. The blood will go to the machine. Platelets will be collected after centrifuge, and rest of the red cells and plasma will go back to the donor. So around only 50 ml of platelets will be collected in this procedure, and these donors can give blood even after 3 to 4 days of this SDP. Actually, it is a very simple procedure, only time consuming. So SDP every monthly they can donate twice, and yearly 24 times they can donate single donor platelets. And these single donor platelets are used mainly during dengue season for dengue fever, and other thrombocytopenia, they say, any drop in platelets with unknown causes, and also into cardiac surgeries and cancer patients. So, and liver transplantation, heart transplant, like that, they will use single donor platelets. And one more special procedure we do in blood bank is peripheral blood stem cell donation. This is again a very special procedure. It will take actually after we have stem cell registry in our blood bank, which is associated with the DKMS, Bangalore Medical Service Trust, DKMS Foundation India. So here the donor will be screened during camps. Buccal swab will be taken, and if any matching will be there with the required patient, it will be very once in a lifetime match. So one in maybe 10,000 or more. So only once in a lifetime you get a match. So this peripheral blood stem cells is given mainly to cancer patients, and it could be autologous also. And this procedure, there is a tedious procedure. After matching, we have to convince the donor, because he has to take injection for peripheral stem cell mobilization for 3 to 4 days. They have to take injection. After mobilization, these stem cells will be collected in the blood bank. It will take around again 2 to 3 hours. It is a special procedure. Then again, granulocyte donation. This is only granulocytes are collected here. Again, this is a special procedure like PBSC, where we have to give injection, mobilize the granulocyte, and we have to collect this granulocyte. And these are cases where we give granulocyte in septicemia, infective cases. So these are some of the special procedures we do at blood bank. So our main goal for now is actually both you people are actually mainly donors. It will help bridging the gap for helping us to be blood centers. We are looking to help the patients who are in need. So for achieving that goal, you donor will be prime importance. You will bridge the gap of fulfilling the units which are required during regularly as well as in emergencies. So I request all the people who are hearing this to get motivated by yourself to donate blood, and also people inform who have not joined here, your family members, your friends, to inform them about the blood donation, the importance of blood donation. Only by voluntary blood donors we can fulfill the requirement of blood. Actually, there is only 70 to 80% of fulfillment of blood in India. There is 20% of shortage of blood. There are people who are dying without blood in emergencies, and especially during rare blood groups. Those people with rare blood groups. So you are the important aspect here. You will bridge the gap in achieving our goal. So thank you very much for you this Sunday, especially weekend. You are hearing patiently for this talk. You can ask any questions you have. Please now.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We have a couple of questions on the chat, and
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
probably help taking that up.
Yeah, sure.
So first of all, are donors with low blood pressure okay to donate blood?
Ma'am, blood pressure actually there is a minimum, is lower criteria. Systolic should be up to 100 and diastolic up to 60. There are many people who have low BP like 90, 60, 90, 50, 80, 50. But they have to take a lot of water. They have to increase their blood means volume at least. So at least the blood BP should be 160 minimum for donation.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next question. Is drinking alcohol on a day prior to blood donation acceptable?
Actually, alcohol is not permitted before donation, but the quantity of alcohol is also considered. We have a medical officer at blood bank. We will means at the blood donation site. We will help this query. Preferably, I will request to avoid alcohol before the day of donation.
Thank you. There is a percentage, and preferably no, but there is a person who's coming to collect the blood will be able to share that info.
Yeah.
So are you able to hear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So
Yeah.
The audience is not very convinced with the answer of saying the person who comes to collect the blood will be able to answer.
Yeah.
So they want to understand, is there a chart? What is the minimum alcohol? Or
Ma'am,
the
actually there is no guidelines as such for minimum or maximum. But preferably they have to avoid taking alcohol before donation.
no alcohol before.
No alcohol, but still we will take consideration. For example, they have taken one beer. I think that should not be deterring. One beer, I think after 5 to 6 hours, it will be evaporating and they'll pass through urine and all. So I think that should not deter. For example, one beer like that. So that's why I'm saying it will be depending upon the type of alcohol and amount they have taken. That they can share with the blood bank officer who is at the campsite. Actually, guidelines is we should not take alcohol before donation. 24 hours to 40.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
That will work out. But once people land up to donate blood, then you can say, oh, you are not allowed.
Yes, ma'am. Any further questions?
Sorry, Doctor. 1 second.
Yeah.
So we are just taking note on do's and don'ts before donating blood, so
Yeah.
that when we make the announcement for the donation,
Yeah, they should not smoke 1 hour before donation, ma'am.
no smoking 1 hour before.
Yeah. And they should have something within last 4 hours. They should have.
Doctor, will you be able to send us a guideline on the do's and don'ts?
Yeah, surely. Aparna will share this. We have the format.
Yes, Smith, I can share that with you. I can share that with you.
Sure, great, thank you.
Yeah.
What percentage of blood collected in TTK and Bangalore is wasted on an average?
Yeah, this is a very good question. I think people who have asked this. Actually, in TTK, the national guidelines says up to 6 to 7% wastage is permitted. But in our blood bank in Bangalore Medical Service Test, the wastage will be 2 to 3%. I will explain why this 2 to 3% wastage will be there. Because we prepare platelets, random donor platelets, which is only 5 days. But we have to keep platelets. We can't say no to the patients who require in emergency. So we keep certain amount of platelets depending upon the movement, but still certain amount of platelets will get expired. It is better it expires instead of saying no to the patients who are requiring emergency. These are so one cause. And second thing, these are don't like quality, like quality will be not compromised. Either like less collections, it could be or more hemoglobin, less hemoglobin. There are some conditions where we'll check a quality check and we'll discard few units. And third thing, infective cases. There are a lot of infective cases like hepatitis B, syphilis. Some cases will come, and this has to be discarded. Okay, so this expiry mild expiry like for only for platelets. Then positive cases and some less collection or more volume more collection, like some few units which do not meet quality requirement criteria will be discarded. So our wastage in our rotary TT blood bank BMST will be around 2 to 3%, but national average is around 6 to 7.
Great. Thank you so much for that, doctor.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next question. Are
Yeah.
voluntary donors allowed for a free bottle of blood in case family or relatives need it?
Yeah, there is one more important question. Actually, donation, voluntary donation, they have to donate without expecting any benefit. But during requirement, definitely we will help the blood, and we will give free of cost to donors who are not affordable, like maybe like housekeeping staff or poor people who are in need of the blood. We'll definitely help without charges. But for other people, we require to bear at least the processing charges, and definitely we will help the blood whatever required. But coming to rare blood group like negative blood groups or platelets, it depends upon the stock availability. But we'll try our maximum to help out.
So when you say stock availability, are you able to, do you have any tie-up where you can borrow from another blood bank and offset it by any other?
There is no, actually we are a mother blood bank in Bangalore. We are supplying around 27 storage centers. We have 27 storage centers in Bangalore. So mostly we will be guiding those particular storage center to give the blood without asking for replacement. Like that. So we will be contacting those hospitals to help out to provide the blood. For example, if a donor is undergoing some heart surgery in Narayana Hridayalaya, so we have contacts with them. We will ask the doctor there to provide the required blood. So we will contact them and help out. Aparna will be there, and myself will try to help out this blood requirements.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
Does dental procedures affect blood donation?
Dental procedures, yes, ma'am. There is a different criteria for example, root canal treatment for dental caries or etc. It is deferred for 6 months. Why means there is the root of the dent, tooth. There will be some infection will be residing there, which will not be completely resolved within a short span of time. That is why they'll take 2 to 3 settings also to clean and fill up the tooth. So the minimum criteria will be 6 months. So there will be this root infection means whatever bacteria, whatever it is, it will be harmless to the patient. But this bacteria, when it is carried in the blood, it will be harmful to the patient who is already in ICU. So that is why we will not patent blood from root canal treatment less than 6 months.
Sure, thank you. And what is the right amount to be paid for each unit of blood brought by the hospital or from the hospital?
Amount means charges, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cost.
Actually, these charges are actually fixed by the Karnataka State Blood Transfusion Council. These are actually we are displayed on the notice board, and this is available to the public. So depending upon the component like red cells, plasma, and platelets, there are various charges, and we have 3 categories in our BMST: Category A, Category B, and Category C. Category A is like corporate hospitals. Category B is hospitals like medical colleges, like Vaidehi Medical College, St. John's Medical College, Chinmaya Mission Hospital. Those fall into Category B. And Category C hospital are government hospitals like Kidwai, Victoria, KC General, Bowring Hospital. These are Category C. So the rates will be different for different categories. So this, as per KSBTC guidelines, we have fixed the rate, and we are not charging more than the KSBTC. This is the processing charges. Actually, whatever the blood we are providing is free of cost. processing charges, the blood bag charges, the testing charges, the maintaining of this blood units, that is we require the infrastructure, maintaining this fridge, salary part for the staff members. So there are various aspects to maintaining this. These are the processing charges we can say. These are the processing charges fixed by government. These are displayed at the notice board in the every blood bank, not only in our blood bank. So is charged as per the government rules.
Sure. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Yeah.
They have different variation depending on what kind of a blood you are taking from the counter. So it all goes by the amount of procedure involved in the segregation, whether it's RBC or WBC or plasma, whatever.
Correct. Correct.
Sure. Go ahead.
Hi, doctor, am I audible to you?
Is he audible, Doctor?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
My question is, can a pregnant woman or a newborn mother is advisable or is good or safe to donate blood?
Is it okay for a pregnant woman or just delivered mom to donate blood? It was there in the slide.
Yeah, up to 1 year. ma'am. 1 year.
1 year, you're not supposed
You can't 1 year. Up to means if they are feeding the baby, they can't donate. It could be 1.5 years.
How about pregnant moms? How about pregnant
moms?
moms?
They can't donate.
They can't. Okay.
Yeah.
3 months. Once again, what's the gap between blood donation?
It is 3 months for males and 4 months for females for whole blood donation. For HDP, it is 3 days. If you donate today, after 3 days, you can donate 2 times in a month, 24 times in a year.
Sure. For SGP, where they're collecting only a part of your blood cells, then because that's done by a machine and just about 50 ml is collected.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, great. So I've been listening. All right.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
So anybody else in the audience, do you have any other questions for Doctor? Feel free to unmute yourself and ask your questions. So what's the maximum limit that you collect from a person?
Its maximum is 450 ml of blood. So if it is 45 to 55 kg range, it is 350 ml. If they are 55 above, it is 450 ml.
Okay. So Doctor, when we set up a blood donation drive, like say, for example, on the 8th, we have a donation drive.
Right.
We have another donation drive on the 15th.
Okay.
What, according to your capacity, what is the maximum that TTK will be able to help connect in one day?
Collect blood. Okay. Actually, we can collect up to 300 units.
300 units a day is their
Single
capacity.
Day. Yeah.
Single day capacity
Yeah,
is
300.
300.
If it is a mega blood donation, we can go up to 500 now. We have a full staff.
300 to 500, depending upon the capacity. Perfect, Doctor.
Yeah.
Any other questions from any of you? Any other questions?
I have Smita.
Sorry?
There has been, a fact that O positive can donate to any other blood category. So why is it so that O positive is called a universal donor?
Yeah, it is a very good question. It depends upon the O positive means it is the antibodies which are against the antigen. Okay, O positive will have anti-A and anti-B in plasma. This so the O positive people can donate for A as well as B because it is in plasma. But red cells, this antigen A and B will not be there. So here people can donate to A patient, B patient, AB patient, and O patient also. So O negative is the universal. Actually, O negative, it is given to any blood group. During emergencies, even will give O negative without cross match. So if it is very emergency, we'll give O negative without cross match. And later on, we'll do cross match. This is our SOP is there. So we'll follow according to our standard operating procedure. So O negative we can give to any patient. O positive only to positive patient, RH positive patients.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. And one more thing, ma'am, all the blood collection, what we do collection in blood donation camps, we will provide 25% of the collection to the government hospitals. So as per the government norms, we will provide to Victoria, Bowring, Kidwai, like that we'll be handing over this 25% collection to these blood banks. So So we are not utilizing 100%. This is as per government regulations.
Thank you, sir. Noted.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sanjay.
So is it going to be a conventional blood donation bank or like what we had in last time? With that?
No, but we are having a hall booked this time.
So COVID situation is not.
We'll put the beds far away because most of them are vaccinated by now. Yeah. No, just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify how we are collecting bloods this time.
Yeah. Okay. We will follow our all COVID protocols as per national guidelines, and we've been doing last 1.5 year, and we don't have any single issue as per that. We have NABH accredited, and we are also now AABB, American Association of Blood Bank certified blood bank. So this certificate itself will guarantee you the protocols what we follow. So don't worry about these protocols. We'll follow all protocols. Yeah.
Sure, great. Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, great. All right. Thank you, doctor, once again for your time.
Yeah.
Aparna, sincere thanks for all the coordination and cooperations from your end.
Thank you, Smita.
We'll see you soon on the 8th, where we have blood donation. Our first blood donation for this year will be at Sterling Villa Grande next Sunday.
So thank you,
Yes,
Smita ma'am,
yes,
and thank you all people who have joined here. It's a great thing for social cause. Please help us collecting lot more units.
Sure,
Yes.
sir. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
How are you, Mithun, sir?
So let me conclude with the 2 lines. So thank you, Prestige Shantiniketan. Thank you all. You have been supporting us for a very long time, and we are happy that you are continuing it so. And every time you take a great effort in making this blood donation camp a success. So I hope like this August 15th also this blood donation will become a big success. Thank you to all
Yes,
of you.
8th
Prestige
and
Shantiniketan.
August 15th.
Yes, 8th and August 15th.
Yep.
And many more to come forward.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Over to you, Mithun.
Thank you, Smita.
Thank you.
And thank you
Thank
to
you.
all
Thank you.
of you in the
Yeah,
room
thank you.
for taking
Thank
an
you.
extra effort and
you.
doing this.
Have a
Really
great
appreciate
weekend.
it.
Yeah.
You too. See you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.